This is, I said, thinking out of a box. That's insight and perspective, so we can think out. Because everything we just are so used to, and then it really limits our thinking. Okay, so we call it a higher order cognition or higher order thinking. So it's like about yourself, about the world, about what's going on in the society, politically, it's the same. Okay, we can easily brainwashed by other people, influenced by other people. So this is another one. It's so opposite theory, but I'm showing this. You see the PowerPoint, right? Do you see the PowerPoint? So most of you like a child-centered education because that's what you have been taught, and sounds great, very good. It looks like so democracy and democratic teachers, and we respect the children's ability, their freedom, their creativity. And teacher-led direct instruction sounds like some communism, too much dictatorships, very limit our children's freedom, not respect much, and it looks like, I'm the boss, and children know nothing, that kind of a feeling. So it's not really like right for our culture. To be honest, we cannot remove those kind of humanity types of those feelings. Okay. And I put here in opposite theory. Let me explain this. My theory is opposite. Child-centered education is for the independent learners who can enjoy their intellectual adventures and curiosities. They can do self-teaching. They can study by themselves. They can study, they can teach them. If they know what they don't know, so they know what they have to study. Those are student-centered. Okay. Teacher-led is for the people, not independent learners, weak learners, students with more potential intelligence than functional intelligence. That's teacher-led. That teacher knows how to teach these weak learners. This student has a very weak visual attention. This student's visual attention, and the student has some weakness in visual focus. It's very hard to follow, visual tracking. And then with the visual attention, the child cannot learn through phonics method because it shows the individual sound, okay, and then blend the sound and then sound out. Let's try. Okay, this student has a visual attention. So either I may shape, remediate child visual attention and teach to read through phonics method, or I may use a different one because, different one, even though child has a visual attention deficits, the child can learn. How can students can analyze their weaknesses to learn that at young age? Because most of you said child-centered education is good for younger kids and teacher-led education is good for older children. Older children are independent learners. They can be independent learners. Younger children are not independent learners. So this is an example. You learn piano. Any of you don't make a sound and you raise your hand if you have learned piano and then had piano lessons, even though you may give up in the middle of learning? Only one? Only one student? Okay, yeah. You played tennis? You play any soccer? You play any basketball? You learned skiing? Rollerblade? Think about that. It's all learning. It's just a matter of academic learning or sports play learning or piano skill learning. It's all learning, right? This child-centered and teacher-led method should be applied to any learning. So piano, let's say 4 years older, 5 years older, 6 years older, learning piano first time. And then piano teacher said, it's a one-to-one learning. Piano teacher said, okay, this is a piano. It's huge. We have to respect the piano. This instrument to make beautiful music. And then this is white keys, black keys, and we use 10 fingers. And the left finger does this side, and the right finger is this side. This one is more tunes and making music. This one is more like a bass and things, and explained. So do you understand? And then child says, yes. Okay, let's play. Could you show me your play? And or some passive child could ding, ding, ding. Okay, that's nice. Good start. Okay, I'm gonna see you tomorrow. And child came. Okay, why don't you try yourself? What do you think? And the opposite, there is no piano teacher teach piano that way. They hold their hands, put on the key. They teach what the C means, what is a D key. And they teach, and then first they just until they have enough strength. So they said you don't play piano like a straight finger, so you have to hold the finger like this. And then you touch it with your fingertips. And then ding, good job. One more, ding. Why don't you middle finger? Ding. How about thumb? Ding. How about fourth finger? And then next, and then next, listen to piano, some easy twinkle, twinkle songs. And then introduce gradually music, note reading, gradually. It takes about a couple of years, a few years. Some faster learners could take 1 year to see the music and play eye, hand coordination simultaneously. You see your hands moving instantly, almost together, right? Or your eyes are very fast, read one block, whole thing, and then fingers move based on that. Fingers are still upper line, but your eyes already lower line. I was a church piano player. That's why I know. By that time, teacher does not have to teach child every single day. Child comes, practice by himself, by herself. Once a week, a teacher can check, or twice a week, a teacher can check. They have a concert, teacher just check, and student play, practice. That's what child-centered and teacher-led moves to student-centered, player-centered. Does it make sense? Yes. There's no one child teaches a major introduction like that, and then can be independent explorer, adventure, and learn to play piano by himself or by herself. This is exactly move to your lesson plan. These are the lesson plans you guys make these days. When I read my students' lesson plan assignment, there is not much teachers direct teaching. Just like I said, this is a keyboard, this is this, and then you use fingers. This is a piano play. You may just model a few times. And then why don't you guys, and you just check the keyboard, listen to the story, science, and then think about that, and then write about it, and then that's a lesson plan. And then who has to conceptualize what they learned as a knowledge? It's a student. That's why we are failing children that early age. So I made this, stairs. I used the phonics here. And then just young children listen to the story and see pictures. This is what usually mom, child, teacher, child in kindergarten level, right? And then teacher's big book, you show in front of children in circle time on the floor, everyone in the front of the classroom, and do this. And then you slowly teach individual sounds, and then blending those individual sounds to read word. This is a teacher-led instruction. You teach those skills, and then you use a whole word method, and then use a flashcard, and then you said just a sight word. It's a sight word. Many people misunderstand the sight words. Sight words are not irregular words. Sight words just instantly you can recognize and read. That's a sight words. That means you are very experienced, reader. So you saw that words 10 times, 100 times. That's a sight word mean. Okay. So this phonics method is a teaching to read through regularly sounding words. 80% of English words are regularly sounding words. 20% of words are irregularly sounding words. However, one word, irregularly sounding words, that's one word. So it has about 5 letters and 10 letters, 8 letters, whatever number of letters. 80% of that letters are regularly sounding. Only one spot or 2 spots may be irregularly sounding. That's why we are successful teaching children through phonics. And this is your language. This is children's mother tongue. They heard a lot of those words. That's why they are very fast to move on. Once they got that, they know the words because they heard a lot. That's how this phonics works. Many professors teacher candidates, pre-service teachers, phonics method is boring. Decoding is really boring. Children lose interest in reading because it's so mechanical teaching. So before, it's the whole world. We had a whole language in 1980s, 1990s. Whole language method is you just don't teach how to read. You just have children to read, experience, feel fun, motivate their interest, let them read. When they meet the words they cannot pronounce, they can guess and move on. Don't let them look for the dictionaries. Just let them just read. So later, contextually, the child will understand and they will get that. They will learn reading skills. That is the beginning point we studied in the United States. We studied heavy reading disorders. Ask your parents. Your parents' time, we didn't have that many reading disorders, even though I was not there at the time, okay? When I was young, because I didn't go to elementary school here, not K-12 education here. But I heard from my colleagues because I could not understand why American kids cannot learn to read. So that whole word, not whole word, whole language, that literature-based, that method really swept the country, made so many reading disorders. It's not because the children are dumb or they have a lack of IQs. It's not. Because of child-centered education, that method, that's the all roots coming down. And they believe, trust the children's capabilities. Of course, our human beings, that little human beings, have all those capabilities. However, we do not put them in the maze. Let's say the child has only local visual perception, not global. Global is seeing the whole big picture. Local is, let's say, local is here. Global visual perception, when you show this, the child see the whole entire big picture. Of course, you see the big picture, that's, you see it and then you know this is a pen right away because you have a prior knowledge. And then local detail focused visual perception is they don't see this whole picture. They are very detail focused. Detail focused doesn't mean they see whole picture, but that very fine, just a detail, it's not that. They are very like this much field vision, if I compare. Many autism spectrum disorder, the children with the ASD, they have those detail focused, so they don't see the big picture. Okay, so some children have only see the big picture. That is more like a sensory discrimination, but not detailed. Some children are very detail focused, not the big one. While listening to me, my lecture, you guys think about yourself. What types of? You have both visual perception, very strong. Most of people has both, most of them. But our children, young children could have, this is the part you guys have to figure out. That's why you are taking this class. You didn't take this class, you never even thought about it. But your kindergarten classroom, first grade classroom, you have children with this either visual perception, not both. Okay, so those phonics method, if a child has visual attention, visual perception weaknesses, and then phonics method, they struggle. However, you know the child has a visual perception, perception weaknesses. I know that knowledge, right? I have that knowledge. You guys have that knowledge. And then child struggles, and then you suspect that right away. Then, instead of using different method, I remediate their visual attention through phonics method. So I do double dip. Okay. How? Because I have experiences. I tried this and that and this and that. Of course, when I taught first time, I didn't know that. So that's the one. So either you could shape the child visual attention weaknesses and then you can move phonics. I stopped there in the middle of, that talking. That is a whole, language method. And then it's a beautiful method. And then my both sons are very smart ones. They love those methods. They love child-centered. They have freedom because they are independent learners. Okay. I taught them to read my oldest one from 100 days old. And then he was a fluent Korean reader when he came to the United States at age 3. And then he was reading 6th grade book. Comprehension is a different story, but eyes could read. And then he came to the United States, he became mute because it's a whole new world. So you can imagine how much shock he had. So I started teaching him at 3.5 or 4, using phonics. The book I introduced to you last time, the $12 book. I taught him, even though he could not speak English, I taught him to read with the phonics. So he could read. I didn't want to, he's a kindergarten teacher, think he has intellectual disabilities because he couldn't speak well. So even though he's a speech like that, but at least he could read. My second child, I taught him in 3.5, I remember. And then by 4, and then he could read fluently. So this is teacher-led. I prepared my sons very early age. And then once this corona things is down, I'm gonna have mother schools, parent schools. I'm gonna train parents how to teach their children to read in fun way through play. Still, it's a direct teacher-led, parent-led instructions, but it's not for the child. It's not class or lesson. It is a play with the mom or dad. Okay, so it's very easy. So again, whole thing is a child-centered and teacher-led. It's not which one is more democratic. It's which one is more like a dictators, a communist. It's very like it's not that. We properly prepare our babies, our children, young children, foundation skills. And then they grow up, as you see, slow reading, visual comprehension. Visual comprehension, it's like a picture book. So see the whole sense, it's a sensory comprehension. Visually they comprehend. And then they move on to linguistically comprehend. And then they fluent reader, and they're starting chapter books. Once they start the chapter books, they have a linguistic comprehension. So these stairs are becoming the pathways, escalating pathways to be an independent learner, to enjoy their intellectual curiosities and adventures, and they have a big picture, visual perception. So they are in the maze. They know where to go. They see all those pathways to go toward the outlet, exit. We are making them gradually independent learners. So they linguistic comprehension, linguistic and mindly comprehension. That means the inferential comprehension. It's a mental representation. So we see here visual comprehension, right? Visually, they see and they understood, and then they mindly comprehend. That means mental representation, mental images, mental movies. Like children watch the cartoon. I learned this one from my second child. He was a little bit quiet boy. When he was young, he was behind in baby seat, and then I was driving, and he was so quiet. He's a chatterbox. It's really like a quiet boy, but very like a chatty. So what are you doing? And he said, "Mom, I'm watching mental movie." He said he was 3 or 4. Mental movie? What do you mean? No, I'm watching mental movie. I watched the movie, and then he taught me mental movie. I just right away, because I was a teacher. Oh my gosh, that's right. When children read this text printed book, lines, they should be able to watch mental movie. Eyes are going through the lines. They should be all alive and dance in their head. And they have fun. That's a comprehension, right? That's why our kids becoming 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, drop the books. They were very eager readers, and then they dropped because when they drop around here, between linguistic, mindly, inferential comprehension, and then move on to comprehension, inferential comprehension. That's around the puberty age. Many children gradually reduce reading amount. Yes, puberty and those all hormones and everything is connected. And then girls may continue because there are lots of teenagers, girls books out there. But as a mom with two boys, I struggled a lot because they are eager to read. And then I see them kind of, gradually losing interest. And then Harry Potter books, boom, bam. Harry Potter books will save her. That's, how our children, you could see. And then most of the children lose interest around here because they could not connect this printed book to mental movies while reading through. This is a comprehension. They passed this one and then became very fluent readers, independent readers. Still the parents mind about what they're reading and then trying to sit down and teach? No. Parent job is done by the second grade. Does it make sense? After that, kids find their own reading based on their own interest. They just listen to kids. Mom, I need to go to library. Okay, get in the car, drive. Who choose books? They choose books. You want them just read always just like funny books. And how about this? This is really fun and it has some science. You will have fun. No. Can you force them to read? No. You could advise, right? You could give them advice, but you cannot force them. You cannot lead them anymore. That's parent-led, teacher-led instructions and child and student-centered instructions. Does it make sense now? If you don't believe I understood correctly, and then after this lecture, and then turn off the record, and then you can ask me. You can just we can discuss. That's why I have here, teacher-led is academic guide who guide the children where to go, how to go, what to see and hear, because it's a maze. Children cannot see that yet. Child-centered is intellectual facilitators, spread a maze to the child to explore. And child comes, ask questions, or child stay, not moving, and then the facilitator kind of push them a little bit and then guide them. However, completely we respect the children's, not creativity, their ability and capability, right? Without teaching correctly. Grade level, I just covered by fourth grade because it's still third grade, fourth grade, between linguistic comprehension, inferential comprehension, literal comprehension, inferential comprehension, kind of like, there. We kind of, watch them. We cannot teach them directly. We cannot force them to what to do anymore. However, we have to carefully watch them if they are safe in inferential comprehension. Okay. And then child variable, child variables, cognitive level, intellectual level, social, emotional, other, variables, right? And then parents variable, attention is still, child and parents variable. Teacher-led, we don't need the parents' help. Why? Because we know where to guide the children. However, child-centered, student-centered education, if you practice this one at younger age, you need the parent support. So this child-centered education is not right one. In large city schools, the parents are very low incomes and very busy with their own life, and you know what I mean, right? It's not fully parents just as you said, just a parenting like a child-oriented parent, very protected parents, very democratic parents. If those parents is not there, I'm talking about the population percentages. Majority of children, most children are not from ideal home setting, home nurtures, and then we have to do teacher-led instruction, regardless of their grade levels. And then outcomes. If there are failures, not enough outcomes, teacher-led is pretty much a teacher's fault. Teacher effectiveness, teacher efficacy. Still, teachers may say, oh, child has these issues, attention issues, behavioral issues, oh, parent issues. We could just attribute all kinds of things. And child-centered is pretty much is to the child. Because child is not capable, they cannot do child-centered education, right? So this is the one. Let me stop.